Cloudcast Media. Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You're going to be listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest-running community podcast in our 20th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. 60 years of doing great things for folks living in San Diego County, whether it's food insecurity, it's financial literacy, it's the arts, everything in between, homeless. They are there shoulder to shoulder. I am so thrilled to have in the studio with us the good folks from AVID Center. Saba Danford is the partner engagement manager, and full disclosure, I've been involved with AVID for as long as these kids have been born, for God's sake. I was on the board for 9 years, and I worked at San Diego Unified when Mary Catherine Swanson started the program in 1980 at Claremont High School. Mary Catherine and I obviously know each other very, very well, so when I got a chance to meet Saba and her colleagues, and they didn't really know my background on AVID. It's been a grand slam ever since, has it not, Saba? Is that correct?
It is absolutely correct. We get to celebrate 45 years of AVID, and it's so nice to hear your background and your experience with AVID and working with our founder, Mary Catherine Swanson. So 45 years is a blip in the universe, but it is a long time in education. And so I'm very proud of AVID and the work that we have been able to accomplish in those 45 years. It
is the world's most successful college prep program, bar none in this. And joined are a couple of current AVID students. We have Gabe Kay from the Powell Unified School District. And what high school, Gabe?
Rancho Bernardo High School.
Right, and you have been an AVID for how long?
7 years.
Cannot wait to pick your brain on it. Also joining is another AVID student, Emily Kimoto, also at Rancho Bernardo High. How long have you been involved with AVID?
So I'm on my first year of AVID, and it has immensely impacted my educational journey.
As it always does, joined by my guest co-host. Honored to have him, Nick Reinel. He is at adjunct faculty member for American Military University. Have you heard about AVID before today?
No, Drew, this is the first time, and I'm really excited to hear all about the program.
It is absolutely unbelievable. So I know you have a question for Saba.
Saba, what is the mission of AVID? What are you working towards here?
Yeah, absolutely. So AVID's mission is to close the opportunity gap and prepare all students for college and career. To ensure that we're instilling successful students out there. And so when we say college and career, we know that they're going to impact their communities. And when we think on the macro level, they're going to impact the global society as a whole. And the way we do that is a K-12 implementation system. A lot of people, fun fact, don't know that AVID is actually an acronym, and it stands for Advancement via Individual Determination. And so leading into that word determination is instilling as early as 4 years old in TK. And like Gabe here, seniors in high school, that idea of that student agency and that opportunity and ability to really lean into empowering themselves and their voices and kind of taking charge of the trajectory of their education and hopefully their careers.
So the metrics behind AVID and Nick are absolutely off the charts. Maybe they've changed since I was on the AVID board, but probably not a lot, upwards and 90% plus those students, if not higher, that go through AVID get accepted to college. And not only do they get accepted to college, they actually finish college. It's because of the things we're going to talk to Emily and Gabe about, what they're used to doing over there. So we're going to start with you on this, Emily, and then we're going to pivot over to Gabe because he's a veteran AVID guy and you're sort of in your first year. What did you hear about AVID before you got involved with AVID? What did you hear about this program?
So I heard that AVID would change students and make them do very well in their academics and succeed. And I never really understood what that meant until I joined. And I feel like I've never felt more heard or seen in any one of my classes until it came to AVID.
You hit two words that we talk about quite a bit on our shows, as Brandon Joe, our senior producer, knows this, and especially when we deal with a lot of the educators, and that is called belonging. At AVID, that's a poster child, is making you feel like you belong, not just in the AVID classes, but at the school itself. I'm so glad you articulated that beautifully. And one of the things, I love talking about this, and I think put a smile to Saba's face, because I think the first time we were chatting with her, I brought up Cornell Notes, and she goes, "How do you know Cornell Notes?" I said, "Well, I was on the AVID board for 9 years. Are you kidding me?" And so when I talked to AVID teachers from around the state, and they didn't know I have a background in AVID, and I bring up Cornell Notes, they'd look at me, "How do you know Cornell Notes?" So I'll ask you, what is Cornell Notes?
So I have been taught different note styles throughout my English classes, but I actually am not too sure how to define Cornell notes. I know a lot of people from AVID who would do them, and their notes looked very good, and they would have no problem studying. However, I was never taught the correct way per se.
Right. And were you, Gabe, on the Cornell Notes?
I mean, personally, Cornell Notes is actually my favorite way of taking notes. I use the 10-step process that we have. So you would go through, I think it's the first 5 where you're actually taking the notes. And then you later on would go back in and annotate and improve your notes and ask questions, like you'd start something that might be on a test. And it's just the best way to have that active recall in your memory.
Right, exactly. So, Saba, when you were an AVID student, talk about your experience with Cornell Notes.
I will. I actually really appreciate you calling it Cornell Notes.
I know it's not. I mean, I'm dating myself. I know that.
Not at all.
Okay.
So Cornell Notes, I think we've been able to adapt that strategy from Cornell University, and hence the name. But over time, we call it focused note taking.
Right.
And yes, it is absolutely a game changer because prior to having AVID, I'm an AVID alum as well. You take notes, you just feel like you're regurgitating what the teacher's saying, and you're not really revisiting it. And so the intentionality behind our note-taking system is, broken down through either 10 steps or 5 phases. And really behind that is understanding the how and the why. So if it's math, if it's science, if it's English, if it's history, whatever the subject might be, students are able to really come back to their notes and find that exact question that they're maybe needing a little more information on. And I know Gabe and Emily can speak more to this in terms of our elective class. We have tutorial processes in which they're able to bring those notes and kind of bring their point of confusion, et cetera. So over 45 years, we absolutely still use that strategy. I still call them Cornell Notes. So you are we are right there eye to eye, but yeah.
You make me feel good about that. Since you're an old fogey and don't talk about Cornell Notes anymore in that area. I think what's great about this too, I know, Nick has another question for both Emily and Gabe, on that. But the beauty of this, Nick, when Mary Catherine started this at Claremont High, she absolutely had the belief, as every teacher should have, but didn't necessarily have, that there is not one student that comes by that can't have the ability to go to college and thrive. We don't care what background you come from. They don't care what history your family had. Maybe none of them ever gone. But if you give them the confidence, it's rigorous, and you support them, that the students will survive in this. And it wasn't say, well, maybe you'll go to college. Oh, no. College was absolutely embedded. Now, whether you're in TK, of course, or what Emily is doing in her first year, and Gabe in that sense. So I know you have some questions for both of them regarding college.
Yeah, Emily, Gabe. We'll start with Emily. What are your goals as you get ready for college? What's your dream school, and what do you want to study?
So I would love to study neuroscience. I hope to go to medical school to become a doctor. And my dream school has always been UH Manoa, so the University of Hawaii in Manoa. I feel as that school is just in a beautiful location, and their academics are pretty well. So that's what I'm striving to do. And I've gotten a lot of encouragement from AVID in that sense, that I can actually do it. and I did get accepted into it, which is very nice. So, yeah.
Congratulations. It's beautiful. I've been to Hawaii a couple times. I'm a little jealous.
No, let me get back to Emily before we pivot over to Gabe on this. Why neuroscience? What excites you about neuroscience? But by the way, my colleague, my business partner, Charles Parisi, the founder and CEO of Cloudcast Media, when you said neuroscience, I think he jumped out of his socks. Okay, so he's very happy to hear that. Talk about why.
So neuroscience, to me, it's just the most interesting thing out there. I've taken AP psychology, and I was actually so excited to come to school just to learn about the brain. But the most interesting unit for me was how the brain would function, and I just want to go more into depth about it. I actually gave a presentation the other day on the brain. You could choose anything for AVID, and I actually chose the brain and sleep schedules, how that works and all the cycles. So yeah, I just find it so interesting.
Have you heard of the Brain Observatory?
I do not.
Good, because you will. Because Charles Parisi, when we're done with this, is going to give you a tour of the Brain Observatory, down in downtown San Diego, and the guy who runs it is just phenomenal in this. I know you have another question for Gabe in college.
Yeah, Gabe, actually, same question for you. College goals. Where do you want to study? What do you want to study?
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm really torn between two schools right now, Cal Poly Pomona and Northern Arizona University. And for both of them, I applied for mechanical engineering, but I originally went in planning for aerospace engineering, but I'm not too certain on that. So I want to get the feel for mechanical engineering, and if I am really feeling passionate about aerospace, then I'm going to switch over. Yeah.
Yeah, NAU, beautiful campus in Flagstaff, of course, and so forth. What spiked your interest? Have you always been interested in engineering, even when you were in elementary school?
I mean, I've played with Legos all my life, but honestly, that's not really what sparked my engineering curiosity. It was a class at Rancho Bernardo High School. It was Honors Principles of Engineering, and it encompassed everything that I love. It was hands-on. I actually got to build machines. There was coding. I had to attach motors and code what the motors would actually do. And that really just sparked my drive for engineering.
We're coming back from break. We're going to continue this conversation. I know Nick wants to chat with you. He now sort of has a sense of the college, but now he's going to talk to you about careers. We heard a little bit from both of you on that, but we'll delve into it. And I'm going to be all over asking Saba, who can't stop smiling in this podcast over here, because any AVID alumnus now is doing what she's doing, having engagement with AVID, is just so proud, obviously, of her schooling, and then to see folks like Emily and what Gabe and they're doing. So we're going to talk more about that. And we always, and all three of you, I'm going to ask this question. Think about this when we come back from break toward the end of the interview. What can our listeners do to support you folks personally, and of course AVID in general, when we return with Saba Danford, partner and engagement manager for AVID Center, joined by two stellar AVID students, Gabe Kay, Emily Kimoto. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest running community podcast in our 20th year, brought to you by the fine folks of Mission Fed Credit Union. We will be right back after this short break.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. We are just so pleased to have the talented folks from AVID Center in Saba Danford. She's the partner engagement manager and an AVID alumnus, so to speak. Very proud of that, and joined by two AVID students that are just well on their way to some great universities and some majors, Gabe Kay and Emily Kimoto of Rancho Bernardo High School. Honored to have as my guest host, Nick Reinell. He is the adjunct faculty member for American Military University. Nick, other questions you have for our stellar AVID students?
Yeah, we'll start with Gabe. Going into mechanical engineering, maybe some aerospace engineering, what do you hope to do afterwards when you approach graduation and wanting to get into a career?
Great question. I have a couple internships that I want to start applying to. There's a couple in the water industry, because I've found a lot of interest in like water mechanics, specifically like what we can do about the environment using our water. And AI is using so much water. I feel like there has to be some solution for that aspect. So I feel like that would be my main goal.
Oh, that's super cool. Okay.
Emily, how about you?
For
The neuroscience, you're interested in that. You want to be a researcher? Do you want to be a practitioner? Do you want to work at a university studying it?
I would love to dive more into research about it. There's so many parts of the brain that there's not a clear answer to why they work the way they do. And I feel like I can definitely add more research into that and help get more answers. Yeah.
You know, Saba, one of the things that we talk about all the time, that you're never going to find a more passionate teacher than an AVID teacher. They live it, they breathe it, they do everything. They know it's hard work, and they know the students they work with. There's some challenges in that aspect of it, but I've been involved in this program, as you know, for a zillion years, and there's a hip to the hop of AVID teachers. Talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to talk about that. It's funny because when we were getting to know each other in the waiting room, we talked about how AVID, and I speak for myself and they're speaking as current students of AVID, was the first place where they got to be seen as adults, young adults. The AVID classroom specifically, it's not a classroom where you're just, getting information being talked to you and you're writing it down and you're just answering questions and filling a box, but it's where relationship is built. Relational capacity is at the heart of what we do. And so part of that, what that looks like is being able, and I'm going to shout out your AVID elective teacher, Leanne Marshall, because it's giving them opportunities to be able to attend these podcasts. It's giving them opportunities to ask them, what do you want to do when you graduate high school? What does college look like? Let's have a pathway for you. Let's work together to build that. Be audacious, be brave, ask the right questions and see what happens for you. And so just being able to build those relationships is integral to that AVID teacher and the work that they do to foster that with their students.
Yeah, I'm going to brag a little bit about the organization that I've been involved with since 1997 that AVID has been a part of, and that is the Classroom of the Future Foundation. And we've been recognizing AVID students. It'll be our 23rd annual Innovation and Education Award, and we give scholarships out to AVID students, as you know, Saba, and work with our good friend Joyce Suber, who I've known for a long time. Joyce, Emily and Gabe was heavily involved as an AVID coordinator and manager at the County Office of Education. She now sits on our advisory board for Classroom of the Future, and we think it's really important because those AVID students that we recognize at SeaWorld each year, and we're going to be getting some invitations out to you folks to attend this. Charles has been involved in it in the past, and our senior producer, Brandon Joe, has been instrumental in helping us with that event. So we'll get that. You're even going to get an invitation too, Nick. All right, now that you are now an honorary AVID advocate and so
Thank
forth, and so forth in this. I know Nick has a question for you, Gabe.
Gabe, what's the biggest challenge you see for other students coming into the program and getting ready to pursue college?
Yeah, I see a lot of students really struggling with getting out of their shell, just public speaking, being confident in themselves and what they want to do.
One of the things that we've seen with the AVID student, you hit a key point, and that is confidence. And certainly it helps with the focus notes. Again, I'm not going to call them Cornell notes anymore. Got to make a mental note on that as well. But I'll start with you on this, Emily, and you can add to it, Gabe. And Nick, I mentioned this earlier. Mary Catherine Swanson, the founder, believed in rigor. And listen, that doesn't mean you have to torture the kids and give them something they can't succeed on, but you got to work, and you got to work hard. And the beauty of it is the expectation is that you need to work hard. Talk about how important that was for you, Emily, and I'll pivot over to Gabe as well.
That was really important. I grew up not believing that rigor was very important, which it definitely is. However, AVID has shown me the importance of it. They show that their standards are very high, and they show you that it's really rewarding. So it's a great concept. Right.
And when you challenge the students, as you well know, Saba, and we'll pivot over to Gabe on this after you can a few comments on it, that they will raise to that level. Okay. Absolutely. And they'll also raise to a level that's too low. That's what you keep the expectations. They'll go down to that level over there. But AVID has always been, and that was Mary Catherine's whole focus, and all the AVID teachers and all the AVID directors is the rigor. Raise the bar.
Yeah, absolutely. One of our strategies, our methodologies is focusing on writing, inquiry, collaboration, organization, and reading, right? The Wicker strategies. And part of that is seeing it in action, and rigor is seeing it in action, right? We know if students challenge themselves and they have opportunity knowledge, they're able to pursue things. And that can be as simple as your freshman year saying, I don't think I can take honors English. I don't think I can take AP French. And then going through the AVID class, bringing your points of confusion, bringing your Cornell notes. I still say Cornell notes too. And being able to push yourself and challenge yourself, because the reality, and Nick, in your role as well, the world isn't linear all the time, right? Our lives are going to take us in various ways. And so sometimes it's a matter of you're going to graduate high school and go straight to college. But then when you go to college, if you don't have the right academic preparedness, you might fall behind. And we're seeing statistics coming out now of students who are falling behind because of that lack of preparedness. And so being able to challenge ourselves and organize ourselves is so crucial and intentionally designed. So students, when they walk away and they throw their hat at graduation and they're celebrating with their families, they feel prepared for those next steps.
And they are. And so, with Gabe, we just talked about the rigor, and you mentioned about AVID tutors and so forth. So I'll start with you on this, Gabe. Do you see yourself becoming an AVID tutor?
I absolutely do. I've actually been an honorary AVID tutor in 7th and 8th grade. So
fantastic.
If there needed to be support and you already were solid on your question, there was an opportunity for you to be an AVID tutor where you can actually help out on other people and just walk around the room and be a walking helper.
Yeah, and we know that that's so critical. Nick is an adjunct faculty member for American Military University. When you hear these stories, that must be inspiring to you because you're on the other side.
It is. It's great to see that both of you are putting so much work into it and just putting forth the effort to be good students now so that you can be good students tomorrow as you pursue your career goals. And I wish you the best of luck. I'm really excited to see where you end up.
Yeah, and the point is the skill sets you've been using with Wicker, focus notes and everything, doesn't make a difference if you're in neuroscience, you're doing the mechanical engineering, you want to be a forest ranger. By the way, NAU has a great forest program. I just want to throw that out there as well. Those skills are going to be benefiting you today, tomorrow, 10 years from now, and so forth. And really, that is one of the things I love talking about with AVID, is that it doesn't make a difference what subject, what career you're into. It's real critical. So I'm going to, start with you, Emily, then go over to Gabe, and then end up with Saba on it. Okay, you are now an ambassador, and of course you are, for AVID. You've now are meeting a bunch of kids who don't know anything about AVID, but are considering joining AVID. What would you say to them?
I would say that joining AVID will be one of the best decisions of your life. When I first joined recently, it changed my community drastically. Everyone was very encouraging. They believed that your future was bright. And that is a rare community to find, especially in the years of high school and middle school. They're more focused on the present, but it's really, really helpful to focus on the future.
Very well stated, Gabe.
Yeah, I think it was honestly a life-changing experience. It gives you a sense of community, family, as we like to say, the AVID family. It just goes so deep. Like, for example, no other teacher has ever given me support the way that my senior AVID teacher and my junior AVID teacher, Mr. Pinato and Miss Marshall have. They actually attended my black belt ceremony and supported me all throughout my journey through my martial arts process and my academic process. Everything together, it's just all around support.
Well, and that means that when Saba comes back in for another appearance on our Spotlight show, she will be bringing in some of those AVID teachers, okay, and maybe bringing in an AVID tutor as well, because it is inconceivable to me that any school or district would not look at AVID and say, I don't care what the investment is, look what is happening to these students, the Emilys, and the Gabes and the other 17 zillion that came before in this aspect of it. Saba, what can our listeners do to continue to support this spectacular work of AVID?
Absolutely. I love that it's a spotlight on the community. And the first thing I always want to say is to, give our educators their flowers and give them the opportunity to shine. Without them, AVID is irrelevant, right? And so our organization's goal is to support educators and to partner with them. We care about their leadership, their instruction, their systems, and their campus cultures. We care about every facet that impacts student success. And so I would tell your listeners to go to avid.org and start there and contact us, get in touch with me. I'd love to be able to support any questions that anybody would have. But in addition to that, the ethos of AVID is believing in yourself, believing in students, believing in our education system, and believing that we are producing the next generation that will make our world better.
Well, you just listened to Emily and Gabe, and obviously that is something that if that's what AVID is about, I'm signing my kid up. And it doesn't make a difference what you look like, where you came from. Every student should be exposed to AVID. And yes, we know they've been working with some of maybe the underserved. I get it in this aspect of it. But people I've talked to say, well, every student should be going through AVID. Are you kidding me? Just for what it is. So anyway, kudos to you, Emily, and kudos to you, Gabe. I'll echo Nick's comments. Can't wait to see where you folks end up, and maybe we'll make a mental note that 4 years from now, when we talk to Emily about her neuroscience, background, and now she's being hired by the top neuroscience company in the world, and that what Gabe has done is. He's graduated. Now he's running his own mechanical engineering business. Okay. And by that time, Nick, you'll be able to have your own podcast company, I'm sure, by then, even if we can be part of it. That would be great. So I'm going to ask Nick. And so the guy's amazing. So one, besides being an adjunct faculty member of AMU, he serves in the military. He was just going to come in and observe and so forth. But my business partner, Charles Parisi, and I don't let them stop at that. No, you're going to be on the air. And no, we haven't even practiced you being on the air. Talk about your experiences in these 4 interviews.
This has been amazing. I was nervous on the first one. I was. But going through this and breaking out of my shell a little bit has been super fun. Thank you to everybody that's been here. Gabe and Emily, you guys have been awesome. Saba, thank you so much. Your program sounds great. I've really enjoyed this.
And he's already made connections. He's going to be working with the folks from Produce Good, the founder, on maybe getting some of his colleagues at Camp Pendleton to get engaged with it. And I know he's also going to be working with the CEO of the San Diego Blood Bank on some things. So one of the things that Charles Parisi always talks about is called capital connectivity, or connectivity capital. When people come on our Spotlight show, we've been doing this thing for 20 years, they always make these connections. Saba, Emily, and Gabe, wishing you nothing but great success. Enjoy. Saba, we're going to have you back on with some of the faculty members. And Nick, you promise you'll come back on as a I haven't scared you away from being a co-host again?
You haven't scared me away. I'd love to come back.
Yeah, consider that done. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You've been listening to another edition of the Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, nation's longest running community podcast, now in our 20th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. To our audience, we hope you enjoyed the interview.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show. amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.